boss of the Ferrari team, Ross Brawn, alongside him. Remember, they made a slight tactical switch, bring him in. Michael Schumacher has another look. He's so much faster, isn't he, than the Renault? Just needs to try and force him into some kind of mistake.
Well, Michael's taking very unconventional lines now to try to distract Alonso. He's now putting his car in very unusual positions, and Alonso will not be anything other than wondering where he is and what he's up to.
That's a tactic, I'm sure, from their kart racing days. Both of them outstanding kart racers. Just look how slow the Renault is to that first part of the Ravazza in comparison with the Ferrari. So much slower. Schumacher really tucked up neatly behind the Renault now. They're coming across the start-finish line once again. This will be just 2 laps to go here for a real grandstand finish at Imola. And this time he's nicely tucked up. Can he have a go this time? No, once again the traction of the Renault is enough to keep Alonso in front.
And still Michael, he has a feint down the inside. He's just desperately trying to get Alonso to miss his braking point, and it was Michael that disadvantaged himself that time, but he'll very quickly catch him back up again. And Alonso having to drive so defensively, the car just not underneath him at all at the moment.
Well, if it's going to be Tosa, he's only got one more opportunity. If it's going to be Variante Alta, which they're approaching now, he's got a couple more opportunities. This is just 2 laps to go. Alonso takes the defensive line into the Variante Alta. It won't be here. What about the Ravazza going downhill? Schumacher close then on the exit of Variante Alta. There's Liuzzi up in front. Schumacher right in the slipstream of Alonso as they go down the hill. No chance really here to have a run at him. This is where the Renault is at its slowest, and we are about to start the last lap with Fernando Alonso and Michael Schumacher absolutely glued together on the racetrack. The last lap of the San Marino Grand Prix. Michael Schumacher has one more lap, just 3 miles in which to find a passing place on Fernando Alonso. It's been an absolutely thrilling conclusion to this 25th San Marino Grand Prix. Schumacher undoubtedly has the faster car, as he showed earlier in the race when he went from 12th to 3rd just by putting the hammer down. But Alonso's reacted well. Schumacher has a look at him into Tosa. This is the last time they'll go through this corner, but Alonso once again, as he has all the way through, brilliant on the defence.
Now Michael will just charge at Piratella. He's putting his car in very unconventional positions, trying to distract Alonso, but every time he does that and it doesn't work, it puts him another car length or 2 behind. So Schumacher then, his final chance, I think, is into the first Ravazza. He's got to just launch it across these curves in Variante Alta and get somewhere near the back of the Renault, and he'll send one down the inside, but he's gone wide himself. So Schumacher still 3 or 4 car lengths adrift. Can he? It's too far back, I think it is, to have a run at him down the inside. Alonso's car's painfully slow in Ravazza 1. It's going to leave him exposed into the final chicane, but he's got enough torque to give himself a car length spare. Will Michael have a go into the final corner? He's too far behind.
He's not going to. He locks the brake down. Amazing defensive driving by Fernando Alonso. His hand is out of the cockpit. Across the line they go. One of the closest finishes I can remember for many, many years. What a thrilling end to the Grand Prix. In the end, Schumacher didn't have a lunge. He was thinking about the championship as well. It might well have taken Alonso out if they'd hit each other, but he had just as much to lose as Alonso did. An absolutely brilliant climax to a completely unpredictable Grand Prix here at Imola. Without doubt, the finest race of the season so far.
3 fingers up. That's a hat-trick for Fernando Alonso, and it'll not come under any more pressure than that. He made it stick. 5 metres long, 1.8 metres wide. If the braking zone is only 80 metres long, you've got to be something like 20% better on the brakes to pass him. And, well, there's no way our 2 competitive Formula 1 cars 20% better than the other in the braking zone. Also, when you're in a hairpin, the guy in front is always going to be on the throttle, a car length ahead of you. And these things go from standstill to 100 miles an hour and back to standstill in 6 seconds, such is their performance. So if he's a car length ahead of you before he treads on, as he treads on the throttle pedal, he's always going to be scampering off down the road. And that's why you get this concertina effect and the frustration that Alonso has at the moment.
Yeah, meanwhile, there has been a lot of brake dust coming out of Alonso's wheels in the last few laps anyway, so it's far from clear whether he has the brakes to do the job, even if he wanted to. Little swirly move up the inside of Michael Schumacher, just distracting him again. A reasonable crowd here this weekend. This race has coincided with Easter on a couple of occasions in the last few years, and that's really hammered the crowd. Also, high ticket prices, but today it was £30 for general admission, even if it was 300 quid for a grandstand seat. And well, they seem to have got a fair number of people into the place. Well, Michael Schumacher was saying that these next few races are when he'll make a decision about whether to continue racing in Formula One in 2007. Between now and Silverstone, really, he'll take his view based on the extent to which Ferrari are able to react to the performance of Renault, particularly this year, and build him a car that can really challenge for wins and the World Championship. Certainly on the evidence of this weekend, they've taken a good step forward. But is it enough to get him into the championship hunt on different venues? Imola, always a great Ferrari Bridgestone circuit. What will be the story at Nürburgring in a couple of weeks' time, and the week after that at Barcelona, where the Renault has been doing some stunning times in testing? We will see.
Well, Michael's tended to be very strong in the Nürburgring, hasn't he? Designed half the track himself, so it very much suits his driving style. And if he can get away with it, well, why not? Oh, Alonso running very well. They just kept it out of the gravel. Got it a little bit tail happy in the middle of the Villeneuve chicane. Let's see how quickly now he closes Michael Schumacher back in. But if it's going to be a very exciting last 5 laps, well, 3 of them have just been wasted while he then has to get back into the hunt. But, well, Rosberg went off there just before qualifying, didn't he? And got on the gravel and just smashed straight into the wall. There's nowhere to go there. It dropped the back end just as he was about to ride over the curb, and it nearly spat the car clean off the racetrack.
As you say, let's see how long it takes him to get back onto the tail of Michael Schumacher, having lost all that time. That's the top 8 at the moment. Fisichella, having started in 11th place on the grid. Let's have another look at it.
Yeah, I almost wondered if that was a different camera angle. It was the same incident. But what we were missing there is the sort of slightly violent bit in the middle where it went askew. And, well, is that it? Is that Alonso settling for second now because he's falling further behind? What sent him off the road like that? But suddenly, Michael Schumacher has got some breathing space. He's down into the 125s. The crowd now sensing he's got the job done.
Yeah, they love it as well. It's been a bit of a drought. It's been 18 months since Ferrari and Bridgestone have beaten Renault, McLaren and Michelin in a Grand Prix. That sole victory in Indianapolis last year in very controversial circumstances for Schumacher and Ferrari. Only the Bridgestone runners taking part that day. 18 months ago, Suzuka 2004, the last time that they beat them, and this is going to be a sweet moment for them and for Michael Schumacher. He's still got 3 laps to go here, and it does look as though Alonso is not going to get close enough to him to have a crack at the end.
Alonso losing Alonso losing the back end again in Acqua Minerale, and I suspect that could be game, set and match for Michael Schumacher now. Alonso will realise he just doesn't appear to have the grip. He's been squirreling around, hasn't he, in the turbulent air of that Ferrari for, what, 30 laps now? And although he's had a set of tyres changed in that period of time, but suddenly that Renault has become very pointy indeed.
So what exactly is the problem then? Why is he flying off the road a couple of times?
It looks to me as if the rear tyres are just giving up a little bit, and it's and especially as you keep running wide, you pick up dirt in the tyres. Takes you a couple of laps, and it just takes you a couple of laps to get the thing underneath you again, and a confidence as to where the car really is and why it let go on you. So Alonso then, it looks okay. I don't think he's got a major problem, but he suddenly made 2 errors in 2 laps, and they're both straight into the 125s. Michael had a little bit in his pocket in case there was a final charge from Alonso, but he's kind of ruined that.
Well, you would have put your house on Alonso winning this Grand Prix in the run-up to the second round of pit stops. He was so much faster than Michael Schumacher. He had plenty of fuel in the car to go further than him Schumacher was very, very slow. They were getting backed up towards the rest of the field. Renault made a tactical switch and it didn't work for them, and that was the turning point of this Grand Prix. And well, there'll be an awful lot of talk, I'm sure, with Steve and Mark Blundell, and they'll be finding out exactly what that was all about after this Grand Prix, so stick with us for that. And also you can follow the story later on the ITV F1 website as well, because that for sure is the story of the 2006 San Marino Grand Prix.
Now there is a back marker looming up, but Alonso's put himself out of position now. He's not going to be able to try and make use of it. That's the problem with those little mistakes. But if Renault could have gone further, you'd have to say it was a mistake, because Ferrari were, even though Massa was in the pit, they had a half a lap to get themselves prepared. I don't think they were expecting Michael that lap, because I was looking out the window as you're talking, and the mechanics were rushing around like crazy. I think it was quite a last-minute decision to bring Michael in, and Ferrari were only ever going to react to what we think was an early stop by Alonso and just cover him off, and that's what they did.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe he was a lap or two earlier than scheduled. It was certainly in his pit stop window, but maybe they did, that's right, react to and bring him in, and in which case the fact that Schumacher had a good in-lap, better than Renault had expected, and the fact that Alonso came out in traffic was enough to turn this Grand Prix for him in Michael Schumacher's favour and send him on his way to his 85th, count them, 85th career victory.
It's been an afternoon of disappointment for a lot of people. Button down in 7th from the front row of the grid after that fuel rig problem, but he was pre-stopping and wasn't going to be up with these boys anyway on that strategy. Fisichella's gone from 11th to 8th in the sister Renault, which is pretty unspectacular, you'd have to say. The only man really outperforming his car, I think, out there's Mark Webber in 6th place for Williams, also on Bridgestone tyres, of course, but a lot of lacklustre performances, I think.
So Michael Schumacher has done it on home soil for Ferrari. He has won the San Marino Grand Prix to put to an end a very, very long losing streak for him and Ferrari, to put to an end Renault's winning streak. They are beaten for the first time in 2006.